Hey there, my name's Brad. I am on a mission to increase financial literacy overall. I'm also on a mission to bring the personal finance FIRE movements together with the Bitcoin movement, particularly because at the end of the day, I believe our goals are pretty much the same. Our goals as FIRE adherents and Bitcoiners are to prepare people for retirement, to prepare people for some modicum of financial independence. On the Bitcoin side of things, obviously, we want to fix the money. Fix the money, fix the world is the cliche that most people follow. And so as I'm kind of thinking through this process of like sharing my insights, who they're relevant for, I appreciate, those of you guys that have been a part of my YouTube channel since the beginning. I started this channel in 2018 when I was like a hardcore sort of like Dave Ramsey coach. And I was really focused on helping people that were in debt. Basically the picture of who I used to be pre debt elimination. So I had $174,000 worth of debt that I was able to pay off in 2.5 years following Dave Ramsey's program. I immediately started coaching friends, family, anybody that would, sit down with me to walk through the process, which is very difficult because, personal finance is very personal. And so I just kind of developed this passion for, financial literacy. When you start to look at the statistics in this country, they're just abysmal. I think probably something like 8 out of 10 people live paycheck to paycheck. And in now the 17 and a half years that I've been a financial coach, it's become even much more clear, much clearer to me that those are real. Those statistics have to be real, because the coaching that I've done with the vast majority of my private client base has been, people that are struggling. And the interesting thing is that most Americans, I would say, at least the people that I've coached, most Americans have money. They have enough money. They make enough money. They just spend it all. And so one of the things, I got really serious when I started this YouTube channel. 2017 is when I actually went through Dave Ramsey's formal coaching training. Financial Coach Master Training is what they call it. And I got really serious about, formalizing my process and, making it a business, because at the time I was in the last 2 years of my corporate software sales career and I was already burned out. Everything was like Groundhog Day. I had PTSD from Salesforce.com and, these ridiculous meetings and, all those things. I'll talk more about those in future videos. But I was really serious about making this, making it my mission to help the middle class get out of debt and move into a saver and investor, sort of mindset, essentially. So, yeah, I would say probably the first, 2017, 18, 19, 20, I think 2020, definitely 2021 is when I started to experience like some extreme burnout with that, because I was doing content creation. I had a blog, I had a YouTube channel. I was, I had a community that I was running as well. And I just got to the place where I felt, many of the clients, not all, but many of the clients that I was working with were not following the process. They were not like listening to my advice. They weren't even willing to really get serious about organization and budgeting and expense tracking, which are really those are the table stakes. That's what you have to do to get to any modicum of this. And so I really kind of don't even want to talk about that anymore, because it's like, if you're not even willing to do that, then in GMI, you're not going to make it, right? So through that process, I just got really burned out, and I decided, because I had seen some of, my mentors and some of my friends that were doing online businesses, I'm like, let me just start teaching what I learned about building an online business. So I entered into this next chapter of my online business coaching, journey. And it was this process of discovery that I went through there, where I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. I read Ryan Levesque's book, Choose, which helped me to understand why my business wasn't taking off. It wasn't for lack of effort. It wasn't for lack of energy or volume of content or any of that stuff. It's because I was targeting a market that was broke. Essentially, like if you are trying to do any kind of business, whether it's online, you have to point what the service that you're offering to an audience that has what he calls PWMs, players with money. That's a super important piece of it. There are 4 other pillars to that I won't go into, but I got really burned out with that audience, and so I thought that just pivoting to teaching online business, teaching entrepreneurship would probably solve that problem, because there was a bigger market with that. And what I found, with that incarnation of my business, which I think sort of expired in the fall of 2023 when LinkedIn changed their algorithm, I was actually starting to get some awesome traction both via YouTube and with LinkedIn. I was doing paid workshops that were starting to sort of fill, and then LinkedIn did their thing and changed their algorithm in, I think it was like August or September of 2023. And man, like it was like starting all over again. And so what that showed me was that I wasn't super passionate, like helping people start online businesses. I loved it, and I loved helping people, and I still have some private clients that I'm walking through that process, but it wasn't really my true passion. My true passion has always been personal finance, financial acumen. And I think the latest incarnation of this that I love talking about is this, kind of bringing together the FIRE movement and Bitcoiners in this sort of common conversation about, okay, how do we take, let's say you've got, a $100,000 net worth or a $250,000 net worth. How do we get you to $1 million in the next 3 to 5 years? Like, what are some of the strategies around that? I'm in Brian Harrington's YouTube membership, and we're in a Discord chat with a bunch of other really awesome people, including James Rosenthal. And these conversations they're really expanding my mind about all this stuff. And so I really am trying to, part of the reason that I'm making videos like this is that I'm trying to get away from just doing information dumps. That has been the entirety of my content creator career and my YouTuber career. I think the real fruit in all of these things is really sharing insights. It seems like the new YouTube is people sitting down and talking to the camera and sharing a transformation that they've been through. I've been through a bunch of these transformations. I've been through the, extremely indebtedness to the debt freedom piece. I've been in the, okay, now I have a zero net worth. How do I get to, 500 to $1 million net worth? I've been in the, Bitcoin space since 2013. Actually, following it for a couple of years, but not really kind of jumping into it until that piece. And now, my wife and I are in a posture where we're trying to take the energy that we've saved and invested over the years and turn that into income. That's a big piece of what I'm doing. And by the way, I'm going to be doing an update video on the BTCI ETF that we got into in October of 2025. So last month. I've shared in other videos that I think we invested about $23,000, and our income from that was almost $900 for that month. So this is one of those instruments. One of them that I'm really kind of looking into right now, our community is looking into right now, is the Stretch STRC for MicroStrategy as a long-term sort of product. I think that is really kind of pushing out the whole idea of money markets. So like with a money market, essentially, let's say you have $10,000, you put that into a money market, you're getting a 4% rate that you also have to, that income you have to pay taxes on. Whereas with the same thing with Stretch, you're going to get 10.5% at the time of this recording. And it's return of capital, so it's actually tax deferred. So those are the things that, we're exploring right now. In terms of just I'm trying to get better at just sharing the mission, sharing the insights that I've got along the way. Even though I'm a financial coach, I'm not an expert. I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is meant to be financial advice. But I just really think it's important, for all of us as members of the FIRE movement, members of the Bitcoin community. I've been cross-pollinated with those two communities for over a decade now. And I just think it's important for us to share our insights, share what we're doing that's working. My wife and I have been out of real estate for 10 years. We sold our condo, and that's another story that I want to tell. We sold our condo 11 years ago, and we've been renters ever since then. And I think we're reaching a point of, kind of fatigue of not sort of owning our own home. We've been kind of waiting for a market correction or crash or, something along those lines. So I'll talk a lot more about that as well. But if this is the kind of conversation that's meaningful to you, that you're getting little tidbits and little insights, I would appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it with somebody that you know to join into the conversation. I'm going to be making a lot more videos like this, and I appreciate you hanging out with me. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.